Hello, my Contre-Jour finally arrived, the latest perfume from Frederic Malle, and I love it so much. So today let's talk about this bottle. The French name of this perfume is backlighting, so I think it is especially suitable for me to talk about it from an art historical perspective. I don't know if you're familiar with those kind of photos. The sun is behind the person, the light is very strong, and the whole image looks bright, but the person's face becomes hard to see. The facial features disappear, the expression disappears, and what is left is only an edge, a posture, the outline of a body pushed forward by light from behind. In photography and cinema, backlighting is doing something very contradictory. It uses light to create opacity. It is not in a hurry to explain the details of a person. It simply pushes the edge of the body, the posture, out from the background. So what we see is not a complete portrait, but the outline of a presence. And this is why Contre-Jour is such a beautiful word, because backlighting is not just the light is pretty. The point of backlighting is the stronger the light, the less visible the subject becomes. You see someone standing there, you feel her outline, you feel her temperature, the boundary between her and the space around her, but you cannot clearly see her face. Contre-Jour feels very much like this. It does not use a large dominant rose note to take over the space very quickly. Instead, it used dry sweetness, herbal spice, and the skin-like feeling of sandalwood to slowly trace the outline of a person. What I find fascinating about this bottle is that it does not make intimacy transparent. It makes intimacy full of the unknown and full of things that cannot be quickly understood. I actually thought of a painting, which is The Lovers from Magritte. And that painting is very simple, but also unforgettable. Two lovers are kissing, and their bodies are very close, and their gesture is extremely intimate, but both of their faces are covered with white cloth. You cannot see the lips actually touching. You cannot see their eyes. You cannot see their facial expressions. Intimacy has happened. You know that, but understanding has not. I think this is exactly where Contre-Jour can be interpreted. It is not a perfume that rejects intimacy, but it deliberately makes intimacy feel full of confusion and uncertainty. It lets you move close to someone, but does not allow you or does not promise you to fully understand that person. Let me give it a try. So in the opening, it has the smell of herbs baked by the sun, maybe dry, warm, slightly bitter, with like honeyed and caramelized edges. And also a bit of spicy greenness, like crushed herbs. And the opening feels much close to the character of Immortelle itself. Its scent is not young, it's not fresh, it's not transparent. It is more like a bouquet of flowers hung upside down and dry by the air. The color becomes darker, the moisture disappears, and the sweetness is sun-dried into something thicker, darker, and closer to medicine. So the light in this perfume is not transparent morning light. It is more like afternoon sunlight. It makes things appear but also makes them lose their details. At this point, when we look back at René Magritte's The Lovers, that layer of white cloth become very important in this interpretation. It is not simply a cover. It is more like a second skin. The cloth covers the face and the lips. It separates the two people, but also makes the kiss feel more intense because we cannot see it. We become even more aware that there is desire, there is distance, and something that cannot be penetrated. And the use of immortelle here is wonderful. What it brings is exactly that quality in a relationship that cannot be penetrated, the part that two people can never fully understand about each other. The rose in this perfume is also like a face covered by cloth. Rose is usually one of the easiest image to recognize in perfume. It often means love, femininity, softness, romance. Many rose perfumes treat it like a fictional portrait. The petals are clear, the dews on petals are clear, the emotion is also clear. The moment you smell it, you know this is rose and this is beauty, this is something that can be liked. But in this perfume, rose does not appear this way. It is more like a dark red mass wrapped in the herbal quality of immortelle and the shadow of sandalwood. You can smell its sweetness, but very quickly this sweetness is lowered by the dry, botanical, medicinal feeling. It is not dewy, it is not open, and it does not easily show its face. And this makes me feel that it is very close to the kiss in the painting, the lovers. A kiss is a symbol of intimacy, and rose is also a symbol of intimacy. But when the kiss is covered by cloth, when the rose is wrapped in immortelle and sandalwood, something familiar suddenly becomes strange. You know it is there, but you can no longer consume it by your instinct. And René Magritte was very good at doing this in the world of art history. He placed unfamiliar things in slightly wrong positions, making the everyday feel uneasy. An apple, a patch of sky, a pipe, a bowler hat, all of them are perfectly ordinary. But once they enter his painting, they suddenly begin to ask the viewer, what you think you're seeing, is it really the thing itself? Contre-Jour is doing something similar in perfumery. The material in this perfume are all familiar notes to us: rose, sandalwood, immortelle, but once they are combined, they do not become something simple. It is like an intimate portrait photographed against the light. The bodies are closed, but the face still remains hidden in shadow. And after the sandalwood comes out, this opaque intimacy becomes even clearer. The immortelle at the beginning carries sun, honey, and herbal worms, and the rose is like a red subject covered by cloth, and sandalwood slowly presses everything back onto our skin. It has a slight creaminess, a light wooden worms, and a soft but not fully transparent skin-like feeling. I really like this because when we talk about intimacy, we often seem to connect intimacy with complete openness, with complete honesty. You love someone, so you must completely see her, completely understand her. But what the lovers, the painting, and this perfume reminds us is exactly the opposite. Two people can be that close, but still have a layer of cloth between them that cannot be removed. And this layer of cloth is not necessarily coldness or indifference. It can also be respect, mystery, and the private inner space that each person keeps for themselves. So I would call Contre-Jour a perfume about opaque intimacy. This is also why it does not really feel like a traditional pretty rose fragrance. If you're expecting a bright, dewy, romantic rose that is easy to love, then this one may feel a little disappointing. The rose is very subtle in this bottle. The herbal quality is obvious. It is beautiful, but not easily approachable. It is warm, but not transparent. And it is this opacity that gives it its own beauty and its own tension. So backlighting is not necessarily hiding, and a veil, a cloth, is not only just refusal. Both reminds us that some presents become more compelling precisely because they are not fully revealed. They are not fully illuminated. So that is my review on Contre-Jour. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.